Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk News Extra. I am Luca and this is Ollie Davis, and we're going to take you through some of the news stories that didn't quite make it into our usual WrestleTalk news. We're going to talk about an altercation with Sami Zayn and a fan at a house show over the weekend, yesterday in fact, as well as a couple of WWE stars looking to return. They're in training to return at the moment, and some fool thought it'd be a good idea to try and rob Walter. Chops ahoy. But before we get into the first news story, remember to give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, leave a comment down below. We'll be asking a question of the day momentarily, but let's dive into this Sami Zayn story. Sami Zayn is the best. I think we can all agree.
Around.
Particularly after this altercation. The event was in Daytona, Florida, and one man, a fan, I'm going to use big air quotes here for this fan, was very upset with Sami Zayn. I believe it looked like the match was going to be a cage match between Shinsuke Nakamura and The Fiend, because during this video that a fan caught on video, The Fiend's entrance music, you can be heard in the background, and all of a sudden the lights go off. You can still hear Sami Zayn shouting at this guy.
I want to see that match. I want to see Nakamura versus The Fiend.
Absolutely. Universal Champion versus Intercontinental Champion. So this fan that was at ringside called Zayn a Canadian F word.
Now, there's so many F words. Unfortunately, it's the homophobic F word.
Yes, it's the really bad one.
Massively fallen out of favour and has no place in 2019.
Absolutely not. So Zayn kind of flipped out about this, called him a homophobic moron, a homophobic dick. And the fan...
Which actually is an interesting... That those two kind of contradict each other.
I suppose they do, don't they? Yeah. And the fan tried to lash out again, and security kicked them out of the arena. Quite rightly so, I would say. There's no place for it in 2019.
It's been a bad week or weekend rather, for sort of these incidents, like racially abusive incidents and homophobic abusive incidents in sports.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sports stuff. Sports stuff from fans. It's a real shame.
Yeah, it's been a real shame. So the Zach Lethal on Twitter captured the incident, and the video's been shared dozens of times on Twitter. In fact, when I say dozens, I mean like in the hundreds and thousands from fans, all in support of Sami Zayn and the great work that he did in shutting down this very silly fan, who I think the worst part about this had a small child with him, because it's passing on very bad habits. And then the kid didn't get to see the show that he was looking forward to seeing because his dad's a div. So here is the video that was shared on Twitter by the Zach Lethal. I think the really good thing about this story is, though, that fan did get kicked out.
Yeah.
Security were very hot in the situation. They escorted him out of the building, and that's good. I think that's a very good sign. It would have been way worse if he'd have been allowed to stay.
Yeah, it's just heel heat.
Yeah.
You know? It's no.
But the heels.
Yeah, there's a line here.
Yeah.
It reminds me of an incident a few years ago when CM Punk sort of responded to a fan who was saying homophobic things. Unfortunately, CM Punk used a homophobic slur back. But now society's sort of moved on from that, which is for the better.
We're in a much better place now. Still not quite there, but we're making right steps.
Is this the way you bring back CM Punk? Is this the storyline?
CM Punk to WWE covered. Interesting as well, Aleister Black also made a statement on Reddit, I believe it was.
Was it his blog?
I think
Aleister Black got a blog?
I don't know.
On his Tumblr?
I found
Luke Sill.
on his MySpace page,
Yeah.
that someone then screen grabbed and posted up onto Reddit, because I had to write it down because it was an image as opposed to being an actual text thing.
People who post statements in the form of screenshots just don't think about our job when we have to transcribe that stuff.
And it was a long statement as well, because apparently at a show, I'm going to assume there was a show over the weekend, perhaps even the same show, that Aleister Black heard a lot of racist comments being made towards his wife Zelina Vega, and I'm going to assume, based on the way that he's worded this, he was facing Andrade, because that would be why Zelina Vega was out there, and apparently they were also aiming these racist slurs against Andrade as well. So Aleister Black said, "See, I can deal with fans sitting ringside body shaming me. I can deal with people who have zero physical prowess mocking and degrading me whilst telling me I need more conditioning because they can't tell the difference between selling and being out of breath because they simply lack the knowledge. I can deal with fans commenting on my legs after I've not been able to train for 4+ weeks due to an injury from all this, quote, fake fighting that I do. But what I cannot deal with is yelling racial slurs at my wife or my opponents/colleagues. And on top of that, having your own kid sitting next to you while daddy bullies, body shames, yells sexist and racist slurs towards fictional characters that he only knows from his TV screen. There is a reason until the day Earth ceases to exist that you will safely sit behind a guardrail, hidden in the masses, and I am the one in the ring. And the sooner you realise that, the quicker you can improve your life and fulfill whatever it is that is left unfulfilled, causing you to act out the way that you do.
A very well-written comment, and like a very measured response to what must be something so infuriating in the moment. And again, like the guy's got his kid there.
Yeah.
What a just awful example to set for the children.
Won't somebody think of the children?
But what, like, my main takeaway from that is, who's looking at Aleister Black and saying that guy's got small legs?
I know.
What? Like, I mean, I do not deny that that's probably happening to Aleister Black. This supremely cool, unthreatening guy. I don't look at Aleister Black and go, man, he is not scary in the slightest.
I reckon I could definitely take him in a fight.
And some are yelling at him at shows or presumably on Twitter and stuff saying, you don't have the right body shape, you need to be bigger.
What? You're skipping leg day, are you?
What he lacks in, I guess, muscular definition, he more than makes up with in tattoos all over his body.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you think WWE should sort of deal with fans like that and make it a better environment for the audience as a whole? Let us know in the comments down below, because we'll be trying to get to as many of your comments as possible in the first 30 minutes after this video goes live.
You know, if you're watching this at home and you're thinking, what can I do to improve the wrestling community? Don't be a dick.
Yeah. We need a star, a returning big star to turn the tide. CM Punk, he's not returning my tweets. He's not returning the WhatsApp messages I've sent this person whose name is CM Punk. I just assume it's him, because my girl, my original best friend from wrestling, Nia Jax, is training for her return. Yeah,
absolutely. She was put out on the shelf in April, getting surgery on both knees because she tore an ACL in both of her legs.
And that's a serious injury. That's
Very
like
serious.
6 to 9 months, possibly even longer of recovery time. And around now is, I guess, when she can start properly getting back in the ring and training. Of course, there has been a lot of physio work beforehand. And that's what she's posted on her Instagram page at the Performance Center, no less, is this little looping graphic.
I believe it's called a boomerang.
It's a boomerang?
Yes, your lady partner told me what one of those was.
I could watch that all day.
Well,
In
that's
fact,
the whole point
I
of a
probably
boomerang.
will, yeah. Her caption for that was, testing out the new knees. They have rebuilt her. They have made her strong.
And as Kate Side Seats say in their sort of news article about this, that it's almost like a really good time for Nia Jax because the Royal Rumble's just around the corner and maybe she could enter into the men's one again.
Yeah. I think that's where she's going to return. It's too early for her to return in the ring right now, but in 2 months' time, when we have the Rumble, sure, that's a great place for people to make their comebacks. But lest we forget, this year feels like the longest year ever in wrestling because just 9-10 months ago, Nia Jax was legit going to have a feud with Dean Ambrose.
Oh, yeah.
Jon Moxley.
I think we've all forgotten that she was in the men's Rumble and got RKO'd by Randy Orton. And that kind of started this character switch for her where she was going to be beating up guys and getting into matches with guys, as you say, Dean Ambrose. And then it was quietly dropped, I guess, so they could just transition her back into the women's tag title position.
But she's not the only one who's reportedly making a return because, again, another thing that I feel feels like it was 3 years ago, on their way to WWE, the freak, he's lurking. Those first video packages ran last November.
It was around this sort of time, wasn't it, that we were getting the on their way to WWE?
And it was Lars Sullivan, and of course he did make his debut in WWE. He ran through WrestleMania season, had a little bit in April where he sort of wrote out the Hardy Boys.
Yeah, so he was meant to debut before WrestleMania and get into a program with John Cena, and that was going to be the big John Cena angle for Mania, but his anxiety got the better of him and he couldn't go out to perform and he didn't show up to several shows that he was booked for, and then eventually he debuted on the Raw after WrestleMania attacking Kurt Angle, who had what a great WrestleMania weekend Kurt Angle had.
But then Lars Sullivan had to go out because of injury, but he's now Instagrammed himself, not a boomerang, a video,
Oh.
I understand that, of him doing some incredibly tough core exercises.
Oof.
Look at that. So he's doing that sort of thing where he's strengthening his core there. I have done this exercise.
What?
But not that version.
Okay.
I've done like the version that you scale it down for your grandma. Keeping that straight body like that not only shows an enormous amount of strength, but some flexibility.
I mean, I've written here in my notes, he's doing moves that I don't think I could even think about doing. And lastly, before we get out of here, let's talk about some fool who thought it'd be a really good idea to break into the car of Walter at a Evolve show in Chicago over the weekend, who not only stole Walter's passport, but also stole the WWE, or is it the NXT they call it now? The NXT
Triple H vs UK Championship.
The United Kingdom Championship, stolen from his car. It was a rental car, and this guy who jacked this car was so smart that not only did he rob Walter, he also robbed Timothy Thatcher and stole a load of his stuff too.
It was Timothy Thatcher's rental car. Apparently this spot in Chicago has suffered a few break-ins like this, but just smashed the window and stole the stuff. But good God!
Yeah.
If I found, I don't know what I'd do. If I found out I'd accidentally stolen Walter's stuff, I would either just leave the country or I would try and find him and give it back to him very nicely.
Oh no, I would just leave it in a park. I would leave the stuff in a park with a little note that said, "I'm sorry," and then flee. And just rub it full of prints, get rid of all the prints and get a new identity. Probably laser off my prints like Men in Black.
Yeah.
And start a new life.
At the very least, do all those things.
Yeah. Bare minimum.
It's like the starting plot of a Coen Brothers movie where the hapless criminal accidentally gets himself involved with a much more serious threat.
Yeah.
I want to see that film. But Chris Jericho suffered something similar earlier this year. His AEW championship, was it the night after winning it, had fallen off the top of his limo.
Yeah.
There's conflicting reports over what happened. But it seems like Jericho enjoyed a bit too much of the bubbly,
yeah.
and he lost the AEW title. It was found by a roadside by just a guy who didn't even really know what AEW was. He put it on Craigslist, being like, "Is this anyone's?" What a lovely world that we live in.
Jericho tweeted about the situation saying, "Been there, done that." Slightly different, Jericho. Yours was lost. Walter's was stolen, and his passport was nicked as well. Probably best not to make light of this situation. Again, if I'm Jericho, the one person I'm not making fun of is Walter. But that is all we've got time for on this edition of WrestleTalk News Extra. If you do like this little bonus format that we're doing, do let us know in the comments down below. Give us a thumbs up and a subscribe as well. Answer our question of the day while you're at it. I've been Luke Owen. This has been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.
And click all these videos.
Oh yeah, do that as well.